Hey everyone, welcome back to Toasty TCG. This past weekend, I got second place at my locals monthly GOAT tournament playing Cannon Soul Control or Cannon Soldier Control, whatever you want to call it. The main reason that I thought that this deck was really cool was just the interaction that you can get from Cannon Soldier with Soul Exchange, because Soul Exchange doesn't just use your opponent's monster for a tribute summon, it just uses it for a tribute. What's really cool here is with GOAT format, how priority works is before you can summon the Cannon Soldier, you can go Soul Exchange target, and then if you go summon your soldier, and if they don't stop the summon with like Judgment, you can priority tribute, which is really cool. This creates like this really very hard to interact with interaction, so that was really neat. So let's get right into this list. Before I do that though, this is my 100th video, so I'm really happy to be doing something very unique for it with a very unique deck list. If you like this type of content, definitely like, subscribe, everything. We're on our way to 300 very fast. So let's just get all the generic guys out of the way first. Just like if you're playing GOAT format, just the guys that are in your deck. Breaker, Trap Trinity, Nox, Snatch, MST, Heavy. I guess this is like Trinity 2.0 effectively, and then actual Trinity. Alright, so now that's out of the way, we'll talk about the monsters first. So I was playing 2 Cannon Soldier, 2 Toon Cannon Soldier. This was supposed to be 3 of each. I just couldn't get a hold of them in time. It happens. There are 2 cards. I'll point them out, what was supposed to be the third of each of them. But yeah, these, if you don't know Cannon Soldier, tributes a monster you control, deal 500 to your opponent as effect damage. So tribute does cost, and then like there are some like other interesting things about this card. How it has like 14-13, so it trades badly with like recruiters, but in defense, it trades very well. What I mean by that is like there's a lot of times in the over the weekend, because I played against, I believe, Chaos Turbo, Chaos War, and then like either I think it was like 2 Chaos Warrior or like 1 Chaos Warrior, 1 Chaos Turbo. So it's either it was 2 of one and then 1 of the other. So I played against Chaos all weekend. My only loss was in round 3. The other undefeated. He was either playing Chaos Turbo or Chaos Warrior. Yeah, this just trades pretty cool with Tsukiyomi. Like if your opponent's trying to Tsukiyomi lock you, and it's like they can't book this, right? they can't attack over it, if that makes any sense. So it's cool, and it's like they're small enough where it's like your opponent stealing them with restrict doesn't really matter either, because there's like 14. All the important text of Toon Cannon Soldier is it can't attack the turn summons. I mean, special summon, flip summon, normal summons. So that's very important. There's actually a time that came up where I went to flip it. I was like, oh, it can't actually attack this turn. So just keep that in mind. But the main thing is non-once per turn, tribute a monster you control, deal 500. So this can be done by stealing your opponent's monsters, Brain Con, Soul Exchange, tributing, of course, your own monsters, including themselves. So they can set up like really cool play lines too with the tributes, which I'll go over probably later. So there's our soldier package. 2 Moths. These are the only flips in the deck. The one thing I really don't like about that is your opponent's knock is like, if you set this, it's typically the only thing you're going to set, is you're almost always eating knocks, which is very unfortunate. But it's also like, since these are the only 2 flips, it feels like it's worse for your opponent, because they're losing Moths and they're probably playing like Night Assailants, things that interact with flips more than you are, like Tsukiyomi, Book of Moon, or whatever. So it's kind of cool that like in like essence it's like deck thins you, but also losing out a Moth is never a good feeling. The 1 Sangan, you're typically searching your Cannon Soldiers off this. It's also really cool when you have this already on field and you tribute to Sangan, so it's like burn 500 or tribute to Cannon Soldier. So you burn for the 500 and then Sangan gets a search you card. The 1 Sinister Serpent. This is for if you're like in like a really stagnant game state So you can start going like tribute serpent to can soldier, and then if your opponent doesn't get rid of the can soldier, if it's like real grindy, then next turn you just get to add back serpent, you set it to play around torrential tribute, and you just keep tributing off to can soldier until they eventually deal with the can soldier. So one of the cards that's not supposed to be in here was Morphing Jar. Fortunately, I only saw it one time the whole weekend, and I don't know, it was okay. Like, I was in a really weird situation where it's like my hand really sucked, but it was all back row, so it's like I was able to set everything, and fortunately, they didn't have a Heavy Storm in their first hand. When they attacked over the Morphing Jar and drew 5, they didn't draw a Heavy Storm there either, so that was pretty lucky. So that was the one time I saw it the whole weekend, and I was lucky enough that I didn't lose from it. But pretty much I was siding this out immediately, because I played against Chaos. I just didn't want to like fuel my opponent's graveyards. I was siding this out all weekend. It's just for game one. So that's all the monsters. It's just, I think it's 10 monsters. 7, 8, 9 monsters. It should be 10. Because one of the spells and traps are one of the traps are supposed to be one of the third can soldiers. Soul Exchange, like I already showed you guys. This just tribute your opponent's monster instead of tributing your own. You lose your battle phase, which doesn't really matter, especially if your can soldier's Tune, because you can't attack with Tune the turn summoned anyway. So you can go Soul Exchange, normal Tune, Prio Tribute, and you're never attacking that turn anyway. So 3 Soul Exchange, 3 Tune Table Contents. So unlike pretty much any other deck that plays Tune Table, you're not actually going Tune Table, search Tune Table, search Tune Table, search Can Soldier. You're actually using these to search out Can Soldiers. The one thing I will say is, so you're supposed to be playing 6 can soldiers. Like, my list only has 4, unfortunately. But you only ever want to have 1 can soldier in your hand at a time, because of card destruction and delinquent duo. So if you have a can soldier in your hand and a tune table, like, you can just like filter through all them to thin if you want. But I'd rather just hold on to these, so that way once they out my 1 can soldier on field, I can send out another one and then have tune table to search out and keep, like, always have a can soldier on field and can soldier in hand. That's pretty much what you want to have ideally. So playing this deck, you don't want to go table can soldier, because then you'll just not have access to your can soldiers. Triple Brain Con. This is just steal your opponent's monsters. This actually takes us like a little more amount of thought than usually brain conning your opponent, because in this type of deck, you want to brain con, take your opponent's monster, and then you can either go summon can soldier there and attack with both of them, or you can go just take the monster, attack, then main phase 2, summon your can soldier, tribute. But just make sure that whatever you're stealing, you're typically going to want to attack with before summoning can soldier, tribute it away, because there's definitely times where, like, I had this one game where I took my opponent's Kaiku, I went summon can soldier, I hit for 32, and then on my main phase 2, that lined up enough damage where I was like, can soldier tribute Kaiku, can soldier tribute self, and that made up enough damage to win the game. So definitely just be cautious when you do that. Like, don't go brain con, can soldier tribute right away. Just make sure you're using your battle phase effectively. Then I played pretty like the average Go control package. 3 meta, 3 scapegoats. What's really cool here, I actually discovered this while testing, is you can Soul Exchange and then Metamorphosis it away. So this unlocks your extra deck for a lot of cool things. Like of course you're playing like all the things, right? But this enables you to like actually metamorphosis into things besides just Thousand Eyes a lot more often. Like, over the weekend, I made a Dark Flare Dragon, I made a Fiend Skull, I think I made a Ryu Senshi. So, like, you have access to all these in like a regular Go control deck, right? But you usually don't go into them. You're usually going into just the Thousand Eyes restrict. Soul Exchange into your opponent's monsters away. it allows you to just like, it just opens up your extra deck a lot more, in my opinion, than having Metamorphosis just for your own monsters. Because it just, Metamorphosis turns into a piece of removal. So I think that's really cool. Then traps, 2 Sakus, Magical Cylinder, and Judgment. This is the other card that was supposed to be a 3rd Can Soldier. Otherwise, there'd be 3 Judgments. The Sakus were just, as you can see, there's a very low monster count, and you want to protect your Can Soldiers. Magic Cylinder, because this deck wins on 2 different axes. One, it can win through like the goat control grind game and winning out through just small chip damage. Otherwise, it can win through just big burn pushes. So this deck can just win 2 separate ways. That's really cool. And then something also that's really neat, it's like actually one of my favorite turn 2 plays, is like, so turn 1 you set your Scapegoat, and then like turn 2 you can go flip Scapegoat, or well, your opponent's end phase, you can flip your Scapegoat, make your tokens, and it's like summon Can Soldier, Tributal 4 for 2,000, and then like Soul Exchange or Brain Control. If your opponent put a monster on the field, take that, and then there's more damage. If you go Brain Con, you have your attacks. Soul Exchange, you don't have your attack, but still you get to get rid of your opponent's monster right away and deal 2,500. And you can tribute away your Can Soldier too if you want to deal 3,000. But I usually leave it on field just so if they can't get rid of it, then I have it for my next turn when I want to just like tribute their things, deal more damage, attack for 14 even. Yeah, just really like Can Soldier. I think it was a funny card because this deck saw like a lot of there's a lot of different ideas that went into the process of making this. Like originally it wasn't even a Can Soldier deck. It was kind of like a Chaos Turbo deck. It was like Chaos Sorcerer Control was the original concept. It's like, how can I want someone to play all 3 Chaos Sorcerers and just always have lights and darks in my grave, so my Chaos Sorcerer is always live to kind of like grind out the game. And then it was like, I'm going to play Recruiters, and I was like, okay, I'm going to play Last Will. And then I started thinking, well, what if I start playing a bunch of cool things to summon off of Last Will? And then my thought process became, what can I tribute to enable Last Will? And that's where Can Soldier initially came up. I was like, I can play 1 Cannon Soldier just as a free tribute to enable Last Will. And then I started thinking, I was like, that's actually a really cool card. What can I do with Cannon Soldier? So I started looking into it, and I think it was, there's a YouTuber, I want to say it's like Retro Yu-Gi-Oh! I can't remember the exact name, but once I looked up just Cannon Soldier Goat format, and I found like, at first there's like a lot of combo decks, but then I came across the Soul Exchange Can Soldier deck list, and it got me really inspired, and I figured I can actually make an improved version of this, because they're playing a lot like more burn heavy. I think they're playing like a Court Dark Room of Nightmare or something. The one where it's like you take 200 more burn damage. They're playing things like that. So I was like, I think I can make like a bit of an improved version to this and see how it goes from there. And again, I wanted to play 3 and 3, but I just I couldn't get the last 2 soldiers in time. But this deck still performed really well, especially against just 3 like back-to-back-to-back meta decks. I like in testing, I found it performs pretty well against like mostly aggro, and like you can do well against like the meta, like Chaos Turbos, Chaos Pile, whatever. So it was just cool. It felt like something that people didn't weren't expecting to play against. Like a lot of people were just like, is this just a pile of Cannon Soldiers? And yeah, it was a pile of Cannon Soldiers. It did very well. So I think that was neat. It's definitely cool bring something that I kind of like a homebrew type deck. Of course, like I can't just say I came up with myself. There was some inspiration. It was just like the initial idea of I want to build a Cannon Soldier deck felt like my own thing, and then getting some inspiration and ending up here was really awesome. So that's the main deck. Moving on to the side deck. 2 Soul Release, 3 Mind Cons, and a Sword of Revealing Light. Soul Release for Chaos. This went in all weekend. Minecon is kind of weird. So when I play against like flip decks like Chaos Turbo, I prefer to side to my brain cons out because there's going to be more sets and brain cons can be harder to have live. The only problem with Minecon is I can't tribute what I take, so it does make it kind of awkward with this deck. So this might actually be something I cut, even though Minecon's a fantastic card. Like, outside of this deck, I think like three between your main and side deck is mandatory. It just felt really weird taking out cards that synergize super well with my main deck's engine. For a card that like doesn't, but it's also like you're playing 3 more copies of Knock. So it's really like, it's awkward. And then just swords, the GOAT format version of Time Walk, and especially against aggro decks, and especially like a lot of decks aggro against the Can Soldier pile very well. So I felt like this actually got sided in a lot more frequently than in my other decks. Like, I've always been a fan of like siding the one Sword Revealing Light, but in this deck especially, it felt very strong. The 3rd Sakuretsu armor, 2 Zing Zenhus, the 3 Dust Tornadoes, and the 3 Trap Dust Shoots. Normally, you'll probably see like I side like two Death Wombats and a Mystic Walk. I didn't feel like I needed them because Can Soldier can just beat Burn by itself. Like if they start putting like going like Ojama Trio, Can Soldier can just tribute them away, which I discovered during when I was testing online. Was I played against a Burn deck where that exact situation came up, and it's just like, okay, cool, I'm gonna summon my Can Soldier, tribute them all away, burn you instead, and then because they're not being destroyed, I took no damage. So that was just like, it was really cool. I felt like this deck has like a built-in very good matchup, and it also has just very good matchups against things like aggro decks because it's just taking their monsters away even more than just like Scapegoat, Thousand Eye Restrict, Metamorphosis, all that. It just felt like this deck has very inherently good matchups, and then like the matchups where like it struggles, I feel like it's just like the more methodical Chaos decks. That's where Soul Release was really good. Like I sided in Soul Release all weekend. Card is fantastic. Soul Releasing people and taking them out of like their Chaos Sorks, things like that. Make sure like they didn't have access to those cards. This deck just feels like overall has just a very good matchup spread, and it feels very unique. I think it's probably a more difficult deck to side against because people haven't seen it as much. The only problem I have with it is that it has only the 1 flip monster. So while it doesn't really lose to Knock, it also is just like if you do set something and your opponent didn't side out Knock, then Knock is just like it's gonna be live, and they're typically gonna have it because they don't like need to use it. They don't have to like. There's not a lot of things to use it, right? You're playing 9. It's supposed to be 10 monsters, but you're playing 9 monsters in here. So if they kept Knock in, it's super live. As soon as you set anything, they almost like 100% will have it in hand. So that does make the flips kind of awkward, but Magician of Faith is just super strong in this deck. Like, you guys seen how many spells were in here, right? Like, just crazy amount of spells. So I feel like I can't not play Magician of Faith. But yeah, that's it. That's the list. Again, definitely make sure no judgment, no morphing jar. There should be 6 Can Soldiers, not 4. They're like, I didn't have a whole lot of situations where I wished I had all 6, but it's also like 6 Can Soldiers would have been better than 4. I don't want to be in a situation where it's like I run out Can Soldiers because I'm only playing 4. So if you're seeing this, definitely cut the morphing jar and cut the judgment. Play 3 Can Soldier, 3 tuned Can Soldier, 100%. Let me know what you guys think about this list, just deck idea in general, because it kind of feels like a Monarch Soul Control with just Can Soldier instead, going for burn damage rather than big monsters like little removal effects on them. So feels very similar to that, I guess. And overall, it's really fun. I had a great time. I didn't feel like I was playing like an obnoxious burn deck, you know, like Panda Burn. I felt like I was just playing Goat Control with like, but instead of like full on Goat Control, it was like a Goat Control burn deck. It was very interesting. There's fun interactions. There's a lot of times where it's like kind of have to analyze the board, see if Can Soldier can lead to lethal or how you can win the game. So there's really neat decision trees in that sort of aspect. And this is a really cool deck that I'm really happy this is my 100th video. I'm doing something really unique for my 100th video, and I'm glad that like I appreciate everyone that helped me get this far. We're making our way to 300 subscribers, so if you're watching, you like this type of content on like retro Yu-Gi-Oh, GOAT format, Edison format, and I'm working on making more format like deck lists for Hat. Let me know, and make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all the cool stuff, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.